Financial planning is one of those things we all know we need, but we often don't know where to start or who to trust with our money. Successful financial advisors build strong relationships with their clients using the power of empathy and trust. My guest today, Andy Steele, is a senior wealth advisor at Members First Investment Services and Wealth Management and one of the best in his field. We will talk about why empathy is important in wealth management and his secret for success in building strong relationships that last a lifetime. This is E3, Engage and Empower with Empathy. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. Securities and advisory services are offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor and broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Insurance products are offered through LPL or its licensed affiliates. Members First Federal Credit Union and Members First Investment Services and Wealth Management are not registered as a broker-dealer or investment advisor. Registered representatives of LPL offer products and services using Members First Investment Services and Wealth Management and may also be employees of Members First Federal Credit Union. These products and services are being offered through LPL or its affiliates, which are separate entities from and not affiliates of Members First Federal Credit Union or Members First Investment Services and Wealth Management. Securities and insurance offered through LPL or its affiliates are not insured by NCUA or any other government agency, not credit union guaranteed, not credit union deposits or obligations, may lose value. Welcome to the podcast today, Andy. I know we've been trying to get this on the books for a while now. I've especially been looking forward to it because I think there's a lot that my listeners can learn from you, particularly around your relationship building talents. You've obviously you received some accolades. You've been named one of the top financial advisors in the US. In your opinion, like what makes you stand out from a seemingly crowded market of wealth counselors? Like I get messages on LinkedIn occasionally from wealth advisors, hey Rebecca, do you want to work together? I mean, there seem to be a lot of people out there who are managing people's money and moving into that profession. What differentiates you? Why do people choose you?
Gosh, I don't know if I have like one specific answer, but the first thing that comes to my head is, you have to be likable to some extent. I mean, people have to, you have to make them feel comfortable and they need to like you initially before they're going to open up to you and divulge any of their information so you can lead them down through a process of trying to become better with their finances.
So what is it about you? I mean, you talk about being likable. I mean, how do you approach your clients? I mean, what is it that really creates that connection?
I think you have to be humble. For me, it kind of started, I think I'm a good combination of my parents because, my mom is very stern but strong, very matter of fact about things. But then my dad, he's kind of more like the quiet type of guy, very empathetic and forgiving, understanding about just about any situation that people get in. So I think when you marry those two together, um, I think that's what I am and who I've become. And you have to stay humble and treat people like you treat your family. And sometimes that means telling them the truth about things or telling them things they don't want to hear, or just being nice and listening.
That's an interesting point. I actually interviewed someone a few weeks ago. He actually published a book called Radical Humility. And his whole point was how important humble leadership is in guiding people to success, really approaching people with that sense of humility. But to your point, also giving people tough feedback.
Yeah, don't be. I mean, who wants to be a yes man? A yes man is not what people want, and they can feel that coming from you. So I think you have to be respectful, but you have to express your opinions and feelings, and then I think that'll help bring it back from their side so that they do the same because it's got to be an interaction. I've been at the same institution for 28 years. I've been in the industry 33 years. And like, I don't feel like I'm an old guy yet, but I still learn. I'm still learning about how to deal with people most effectively. One of the hardest situations I deal with, that our staff deals with on a regular basis, is widows,
Mm.
and men or women. And there's a lot of emotion around those types of situations. And it's very hard to deal with that because, everybody deals with grief in a different way. And so, how are you going to help them and lead them, but be tactful and respectful in that type of situation? And that, I would say, for me, as far as challenges, that's the most difficult thing to do.
So how do you guide people through those situations?
You got to be
What's your
strong
approach?
yourself. I mean, you have to be strong. You have to tell them what needs to happen. Even if 6 months go by, 8 months go by since the death, they still need somebody to tell them the truth and tell them what needs to be done at that point, because you don't know where they're at in their mourning. And so you just got to be strong. It doesn't mean forceful. It just means give them direct answers. And I think people respond better. I've heard clients say to me, please just tell me the truth. I can handle the truth better than I can handle anything else. And so that's what we always try to do. I mean, it's part of doing the right thing is telling people the truth all the time, even if it's not nice. And so that's what we try to do. And I think that people respect us for it and brings people back to us.
Yeah. You said you've been in this profession for decades now. How did you end up going into this profession to begin with? Like what drew you to it?
I've always liked people, and so in school I majored in human resource management. I'm thinking, oh, I can help people, talk to them about their benefits or their retirement plan. But when I got out, what you could earn being a human resource professional in the early '90s was very small. So then I gravitated more towards the sales side. In our family, there are other salespeople, and so I felt like I fit that mode a little bit better than sitting behind a desk and just typing on a computer. So that led me more to the sales side, starting out just helping folks with their homeowners insurance and life insurance. And then that kind of morphed into getting licensed in the securities field. Starting out just dealing with like life insurance and property and casualty insurance, that's tough. And when people buy life insurance, they buy it because they love somebody and there's some type of emotion behind it. And so I think that's where it started for me and helped me, become better at what I actually do now.
Hmm. Yeah, so really, really connecting with people on an emotional level, in other words.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
hard. You got to take your time. A lot of the time, you sit and just listen. You
Hmm.
spend a lot of time listening. And I know because when I get home at night, I don't really want to listen to anybody else. Yeah, I got my son, I got my wife, and my parents here with us, and they all have something to tell me when I walk in the door. And boy, I've been listening all day and focusing. That's hard.
That's interesting because I'm definitely seeing a common thread with a few other people I've interviewed. I interviewed a mental health counselor. She told me the same thing. She sits and listens, or as she phrased it, she sits in the suck with people all day
Yeah,
long. So
right.
she's absorbing that. And then when she comes home to her family, it's really challenging to have to keep that same level of focus and concentration when they come to her with issues. So it's like, how do you create that fine balance between your professional life and your personal life at home and dedicating that same level of empathy and active listening with your family members? What do you do? How do
It,
you
it's
approach that?
it's difficult. I mean, you're still listening, but what I find often is I'm listening, but I'm not really focusing, and so
Mm.
it's always like the response is, what did you just say, or could you repeat that, or your kid's sitting there telling you about his day, and you're getting about a third of it coming through because you're just burned out a little.
Yeah, how do you cope with burnout? That is a topic that keeps coming up over and over in a lot of the episodes that I run. And there also seems to be a trend in companies right now where there's a lot of workplace burnout. How do you manage that? How do you take care of yourself?
Well, I think you hit it right on the head. First thing you have to do is take care of yourself. This morning I was up at 5 o'clock, doing my workout and trying to get that in. And to me, that helps prepare me for my day. I spend some time in meditation and prayer before my workout, and then the workout allows me to let it all go away and burn off some energy. I think that's really important. The other thing I think is really important is and this. I mean, I feel like I'm a doctor sitting here. You got to eat right. You got to exercise. You got to go for your annual physicals. But I think all that's part of it. And then you gotta take time off. Like I know plenty of guys who do my job that they never take off, and they're 55 or 60 like I am, except they look like they're 80.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, yeah, I love my job and I want to do the right thing and help people and retire. But if I'm getting to a point where I can retire and I'm all banged up from my job all these years, that's not the optimal place where I want to be. So I got a lot of flack early in my career. Every Friday, I would leave at around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And being a young guy doing that, they're thinking, well, he's not working that hard. What's he really doing? I've continued that. And I've done that now for over 30 years. And that Friday afternoon is really nice. I can go spend a little time watching my kid in the band if I want. I can go take my folks to a late lunch. I can grab my wife. We can do some shopping. And those things, man, they're important. They're more important, probably as important, more important than everything else you do. And I think people forget about that. Uh, it's you got to do all these things to be best at what you do Monday through Friday, at your job.
That's something I've always admired about you. You've always taken a strong stance on taking time off, and that's never impacted your productivity or your results. In fact, it's probably helped it, right?
I think so. I mean, yeah, I take a lot of vacations, but when I'm working, it doesn't matter if it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm on the phone with a widower, who's sitting there bawling to me, or crying about something. It might have nothing to do with her money. It's just she
Mhm.
needs to talk to somebody and know that it's going to be okay. And I would say that I work every weekend. When? I don't know. Sometimes it's an hour before the football game on Saturday, or after church on Sunday, or whatever it might be. But when I'm working, I'm engaged. And with technology nowadays, it's allowed me to do a lot of the prep work ahead of time so that when I'm in front of somebody, I'm connected. And I have to be connected because that's what they expect. I have thousands of clients and I manage hundreds of millions of dollars. And you got to be connected with every single one of those people when they're in front of you or on the phone or kind of like what we're doing. So I think all of that's important. We as a team try to open up and be as transparent as we can. I talk to my best clients about what's happening in my life and the weaknesses I have and the fears I have. And I think by being transparent and opening up, that just draws people even closer to you. It's your friends, it's your neighbors, it's your clients. When you and they can see you as a real person too and know that you fail at things. And when you're willing to say, oh man, I screwed that up or I did this wrong, they open up even more and become closer to you. You might not know it, but they feel closer to you. And I think that can help lead to success because in our business, deepening relationships is so important. I've had people call me right before they die. It's not a happy thing, but
Mm.
It's important to have those types of relationships.
Oh, have you had a client literally your entire time you've been at Members First? Like, who has been through the most number of years with you, where literally been able to watch them evolve throughout their life? Have you had any longstanding clients like that, where you've just seen them through different periods of their lives?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we have a number of clients that we've had for 25 years plus.
Mhm.
You see them raise their kids. Uh, you're going through a period where all they're worried about is paying the bills, then a period of saving for their kids' college, then saving for their retirement, and then they retire and they're like really happy. And so that's fulfilling for you too, because they've reached all their goals as well. And then the final chapter may be, how do we take these assets that we build up and get them to the kids and the grandkids? So it's just a whole process. So it's pretty neat, and it's not always like that. There's plenty of single people we deal with that the biggest thing is always just been retirement and living well. So we've seen that transpire too over the years.
It must be rewarding to see people go through that journey together with you, and you're there in every life stage with them.
You know, it is, and the reason I know that we're good at it is not a week goes by that people don't show up at my house unannounced. Oh, Andy, hey, we grew these tomatoes in the garden. We thought you'd like to try them. All right, great. Or they come over and they baked some zucchini bread, and they want you to have some of it. And we do a lot of social things with our clients too. A couple things that come to mind is we do cooking classes where we bring 50 people together all at once. One, they interact with each other, and it might be some of the only interaction they have. And we all sit down and have a meal together, and it's being cooked in front of us, and you're learning about spices and different types of food and how they go good together. And so that's like one of our fun things. Another fun thing we do is there's a local riverboat where we'll get 100, 125 people, and we'll go out on a riverboat in the afternoon, enjoy a meal, and we'll have a band and a bar, and everybody just socializes. And it's weird because a lot of these people end up knowing each other. Oh, I remember you from when we worked back at the Navy base, or Capital Blue Cross, or wherever you worked. And so it's weird how the connections all come together. And I even hear them sometimes. Oh, do you remember when Andy's boy, yeah, he was 2 and he had that trouble with his asthma or whatever? And so they connect that way too, not just from old connections. So it's neat.
It's really cool. It's almost like you're building a mini community through your clients, by bringing them all together like that.
Think I should run for office.
Yeah, maybe you should.
No way. I mean, again, I just think it's just treating people decent and being overly generous as much as you can. It's not always just fun and giggles, but there's a lot of fun to it too.
Yeah, I like that. I also think you probably take a lot of your personal experience, your personal life. I know you have two elderly parents that you have taken into your home, so you have that kind of caregiving in the background. You have a son as well and a wife, so you're surrounded by family, and you're also coming home and taking care of people. Is there anything that you are learning in your personal life, like for example taking care of elderly parents in your own home, that you apply at work, or with your clients?
I think it helps me relate to some of my clients. A lot of my clients are in their early 60s and are faced with a lot of the same challenges that Danielle and I are. So when I talk about running somebody to a doctor's appointment, or they need something from the store and they can't make it, or gosh, mom can't get the sheets on the bed this morning because her back hurts so bad, you just go do it. And so when we get requests at work, for somebody, hey, I need you to show up at the hospital because this form needs to be signed because we're in a bad spot. You just go do it. It just needs to be done. I'm good at helping people. People help me a lot too. Don't get me wrong, but we're pretty good at taking care of people, not only on the personal side, but also at work.
Well, that shines through in everything you do, Andy. And I'm so glad we had this conversation. What I got from this dialogue is how important it is to take care of other people, to take care of yourself, and really create that balance with what's important outside of work, and so that you can bring your full self to work. And I love that you've created those boundaries for yourself, even at a very young age in your professional life, that you've really set that boundary and said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave early on a Friday afternoon, give that time to myself, and then you can bring your 120% energy to whatever you need to with your clients, which is really cool. I admire that.
Hey, thank you for having me, and I think I might take the rest of the day off now.
I think you earned it.
Yeah, agreed. Hey, thanks so much.
Thank you. So it was nice to have you, Andy. This podcast is designed to help busy business leaders create an inspired and engaged workforce. I am building a community of like-minded leaders and experts who all share the same passion, taking care of people at work. Whether you are a small business owner or work in a large corporation, you belong in this community. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to hear more, please subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts. If you know someone who I should interview or should be a part of this community, please connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram. Life is too short. Let's take care of each other at work so that together we can make this world a better place.